is hardly alone. St Joan of Arc Hostel in Haberfield only met 26 of the 44 expected care criteria. Bethel Aged Care in Waratah, 23, Sir Thomas Mitchell Residential in Illawong, 20, and Sir Joseph Banks in Botany met just 8. The federal government has announced a royal commission into the aged care sector, but any recommendations won't be made for a year or more at least. Now, family members of residents I've spoken to today say that's simply too far away and they want to know what's going to be done right now. The Prime Minister says more money and resources are being invested.
We're also dealing honestly with the problems that have occurred and the truth of what's been happening in that sector and dealing with that truth, and some of that truth will be pretty hard for many of us to confront.
Eddie Meyer, NBN News.
US President Donald Trump is accused of helping his parents dodge millions of dollars in taxes, according to a special investigation by the New York Times. Mr. Trump received at least $575 million from his father's real estate business, despite promoting himself as a self-made man. The newspaper claims he set up a fake corporation with his siblings to hide the money in gifts from their parents.
Meantime, an envelope addressed to Donald Trump has been intercepted by security after fears it contained the deadly agent ricin. The mail appears to be connected to 2 letters containing the poison sent to the Pentagon and addressed to the top government officials.
Melania Trump has been given a warm welcome as she arrived in Ghana for her first solo trip as US First Lady. She handed out toys and towels to children while visiting a hospital and shared a special moment with one little boy in blue. Mrs. Trump is promoting the well-being of children, also heading to Kenya, Malawi and Egypt before returning to America at the end of the week.
The Duchess of Cambridge has been mobbed by adoring school children as she returned to work from maternity leave.
A casual Kate eased back into royal duties with a wildlife garden tour, 5 months after the birth of Prince Louis.
What a welcome. Her first day back at work, still surrounded by children, but the Duchess didn't seem to mind a bit. Looking relaxed, casual but glamorous, a mother of 3 juggling a newborn and returning to a demanding royal schedule. It hardly looked like work though, as Kate happily joined school children at a wildlife garden in West London, learning about nature, hunting for bugs in the bushes, watering plants, and giving handmade leaf crowns her royal seal of approval. As always, the Duchess of Cambridge chose an effortless and thrifty outfit. Zara skinny jeans, a khaki jacket, and an old favourite, $850 brown leather boots, a wardrobe staple she's trotted out for the past 14 years. Of course, none of that mattered to these children, just happy to get a cuddle from the Duchess, who makes going back to work look like a walk in the park.
Now it's over to Gavin Morris with a quick look at our weather, and Gav, some decent rain is on the way.
Yes, a little bit of London weather making its way towards central drought-stricken areas of New South Wales, and there's going to be a spill of this that's going to hit some of our regions as well. The Central Coast adjacent mountains to the Hunter are going to fare nicely. The Upper Hunter should come off okay as well. The rain is going to spill in over the northwest over the next 24 hours, and then after that, as we move to Friday, Saturday, it'll then make its way to the northern rivers and southern Queensland. Then we're going to see showers continue along the coast all the way into next week. So it's a good system. All of your local details headed your way a little later.
Very promising. Thanks, Gav. Ahead of the news, could Australia become the first country in the world to wipe out cervical cancer?
And a peckish Uber driver eats part of his delivery.
Australia, you can save in every aisle, every day at Coles. Like fresh specials on Aussie fruit and veg.
Aussie gourmet tomatoes, just $2.90 a kilo.
Save with great specials.
Omo laundry powder, 2 kilos or 2-litre liquid, just $10. That's half price.
That is a good saving.
Kellogg's Nutrigrain, 805 grams, just $4. That's half price.
If you love to save,
I saved $21.68.
good things are happening to prices at Coles.
you're being left behind by settling for one of the big four banks? Well, don't wait for a sign to start getting ahead. Discover the way banking should be with Newcastle Permanent.
Man, you got a tip on this next race?
Glad you asked.
Behold, the new Ned's Punter's Toolbox. Loaded with all the tools that will give your punting an edge this spring.
It's beautiful.
Serious tools for serious punters. Download the Neds app now with the Punter's Toolbox. Neds, it's time to bet.
Venture into a world of mega creatures at Hunter Valley Gardens these school holidays. Discover giant dinosaurs, dragons, and megabugs. For tickets and information, visit hvg.com.au.
Are you thinking al fresco and looking for something simple? Call HV Aluminium.
Are you looking for something stylish? Call HV Aluminium.
Or are looking for ideas to design something stunning?
If you're thinking al fresco, call or visit HV Aluminium New Lambton. 1-800-801-572.
Everyone feels like chicken tonight. But what flavor? Honey mustard. Bacon. Cheesy bacon. Honey mustard. Cheesy bacon. I feel like chicken tonight. Like chicken tonight.
Stack up on the Holden Equinox SUV. Now the best value it's ever been from $27,990 drive away. Plus 0.9% per annum comparison rate finance. 2.5 million happy Equinox drivers worldwide. Loads of usable space. A 5-year warranty. The numbers just keep stacking up. The Equinox LS from $27,990 drive away. Plus 0.9% per annum comparison rate finance. See how the numbers stack up on the Equinox at your Holden dealer now.
Our country hospitals need safe nurse-to-patient ratios on every ward, every shift, in every hospital.
Authorised by the Homes New South Wales Nurses and Midwives Association, Sydney.
He's giving you your chance to win your dream kitchen. All thanks to Freedom Kitchens. Watch for your chance to win tomorrow on Today.
He's accused of indecently assaulting girls, but today a former teacher at a Sydney primary school had 13 charges against him dropped. The man is still facing another dozen counts and has been barred from classrooms across the state.
Simon Phillips seemed at ease as he left Burwood Court, smiling as he spoke with his lawyer. After 13 aggravated indecent assault charges were dropped, but 12 indecent assault offences remain. So do you have anything to say about the charges? Do you deny them? The 52-year-old was arrested in November last year and is charged with the indecent assault of 3 12-year-old girls at Mowbray Public School in Lane Cove. Phillips, who's married, taught at several schools across Sydney for 30 years. But the Department of Education says he was removed from Mowbray Public School and placed on our not-to-be-employed list as soon as the department became aware of the police charges. He is barred from teaching in all New South Wales schools.
While out on bail, Phillips is under strict conditions. He can't be within 200 metres of any school or playground, and he's to have no contact with people under the age of 18.
The matter has been adjourned, and Phillips will reappear in 2 weeks when several young witnesses are expected to give evidence via video link. Peter Stefanovic, NBN News.
A fiery sight on the tarmac at New York's JFK Airport after a plane's brakes caught fire during an aborted takeoff. It would have sent a chill through passengers on board the Delta Airlines flight. The 250 people and 8 crew were quickly evacuated. There's a new man in charge at Cricket Australia. Kevin Roberts was picked for the top job today, and he's confident he can regain public support in the aftermath of the ball tampering scandal.
A low point for our sport, but things are most certainly not as bad as they may seem to some right now, and we push forward with optimism.
Roberts has been promoted from Chief Operating Officer to replace outgoing boss James Sutherland. He's also confident he can work easily with the top players, despite his hardball role at pay negotiations last year.
Chocolate chain Max Brenner today became the latest in a long line of local retailers to collapse. Escalating costs and sluggish sales have been blamed for forcing the business into voluntary administration. The brand started with one cafe in Paddington in 1999. Now has 37 stores and 600 employees. Max Brenner's general manager, Yael Kaminski, told NBN News stores will remain open while a review is conducted.
To finance and the share market rose today off the back of 2 days of poor performances. ANZ, NAB and Westpac were all in the red. The Commonwealth was the only bank to finish higher. The All Ordinaries closed just shy of 20 points. To commodities, and gold saw decent gains today, rising by just over 1%, with oil also up. And the Aussie dollar was mixed against the majors. Both the US dollar and the pound were down.
Australia is set to become the first country in the world to eradicate cervical cancer. It's predicted to be considered a rare disease within 2 years and eliminated by 2028, thanks to a world-first vaccine and the Pap smear program. More than 300,000 women die from cervical cancer every year across the globe.
For prospective parents, unknowingly passing on a deadly genetic disorder is a terrifying thought. Now there's fresh hope, an unprecedented trial testing for hundreds of dangerous genes before couples conceive.
Over the 7 months of her short life, Mackenzie Casella's parents helplessly watched her succumb to the genetic muscle-wasting disease SMA.
You're watching this little piece of your soul pass away, and she's this innocent, beautiful little thing who's looking up at you and she wants you to fix it. And you can't.
But what they could do was campaign for carrier gene testing. The result, Mackenzie's mission, a world-first groundbreaking trial offering voluntary preconception screening for thousands of couples.
We'll know for the rest of our lives that she's had a massive impact on Australian society.
Sometimes what you don't know can hurt you. And we want to give people knowledge, because knowledge is power and gives people the chance to make choices.
The trial will allow 10,000 would-be parents to test if they're carriers for close to 500 genes to severe and deadly genetic conditions, including SMA, cystic fibrosis, and fragile eggs. Couples will only be told they're at risk if both individuals carry the same mutation.
Then they'll be able to take steps through IVF to ensure that children aren't born with these agonising and potentially terminal conditions.
3 out of 4 children born with a genetic disorder don't have any family history, which means the first time most parents become aware of such severe conditions is the moment their baby is diagnosed.
I can guarantee you getting that information when you're holding your baby in your arms is a lot scarier.
The $20 million trial will begin recruiting couples as early as next year. Alice Monfries, NBN News.
A hungry Uber Eats delivery driver has given in to temptation, caught on camera sneaking hot chips from a customer's order. It's led to calls for greater food safety practices from the delivery giant.